Hello. What I'm hoping to do here is to explain what ePatterns are and what ePatterns can do to help you and your child to make things easier at homework time. I produce both the planner, homework diary and the spelling practice for my two, and subsequently published the patterns in the hope that other people will be as enthusiastic in adopting them as my children were. I'm thrilled with the way in which various initiatives such as the revamping of the GCSE syllabus are placing a greater focus on computer science and coding. But for me, I still think being able to use spreadsheets in a sophisticated manner is a very important skill. What ePatterns are is a way of developing children's skills in the same way that you get the children's cookbooks, the Lego kits, the Airfix models, the science play models. It's a way of introducing children to a subject in a safe environment that they can play around with, and hopefully it will spark an interest in them for life. So, to start using the ePatterns, you need to download Adobe Digital Editions, which is shown in the video here. You can get it from free from Adobe. There are links from the Spotlight, which has a link from this page. Load the ePattern book up and use whichever spreadsheet application you want. This one's showing OpenOffice.org Calc, also free, and there's a link, or you can Google it, I suppose. OpenOffice is very, very similar to Microsoft's products. There are some differences in the layouts of the menu, but nothing that it's tricky to get your head around. What I really want to put across with this video is that the ePatterns, they're really a kind of modern version of a jigsaw puzzle or a board game. It's something you can sit down, or your child can sit down and work through on their own in their bedroom, or it's something you can sit down at the dining table with a laptop and work through the formulas and the functions together. What you can see here is Adobe Digital Editions with the ePattern open and the spreadsheet minimized to the extent that you can copy the formulas and functions into the cells. You don't need to print these things out, you can just copy them from the words on the screen. And here we're associating a label with a cell, and from then on in you can just reference the label and not have to refer to the cell itself. I've pulled up the picture. Each chapter in the book has a picture of the completed spreadsheet, the finished version of it, and then open up the spreadsheet window and copy the formula in, just like a knitting pattern. The ePattern example here is the planner or homework diary, academic tracker. The spelling practice is used for my son. I don't know, obviously I don't know what your children are like, but I found that we were sitting down every Sunday afternoon, and although my son could spell the words that he'd been given a list for on Friday, he didn't really understand what they meant, and by using a spreadsheet he could work through them while I was doing something else, and he got to understand better what the words meant, where they would be used, and that helped him with retention so that he could remember them beyond the test the following Friday. Currently I'm also my daughter and I are entering the recommended vocabulary for her French exam, which is helping her because she doesn't hear a lot of French spoken around here. The planner, or homework diary, was created out of exasperation. Every child, I think, gets a homework diary when they start a new academic year in September, but my daughter, at any rate, does everything on her laptop and never put anything into her homework diary. So I got fed up of getting beaten up at parents' evenings for her not having completed homework, and put together the planner with links to the homework that she was been creating, which when it came to the revision time was very important because she could backtrack through each subject for what pieces of homework she'd been creating. She can print out the planner, or I can access it through a shared file in our email accounts, and I can see what she's meant to be doing and when she's meant to be doing it, and so can she actually. as she gets to become a more self-directed learner. So these slides are demonstrating conditional formatting, which is something used again and again. Here we have a set of dates which will be pulled up by the planner status sheet to indicate automatically which week we're working in. We're entering a set of dates automatically, and by applying conditional formatting, it triggers a background colour to indicate which week we're working in today. So, for example, I entered this one on a Saturday, and it's pulled up that the closest Monday is the 2nd of July. In the ePatterns, there are lots and lots of formulas. Most of the time, you enter them once or twice, and then by copying and pasting, Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste, then just make some alterations occasionally to the individual cells as necessary. Most of the time, because we're setting up relative referencing, you don't need to make any changes to what was entered in one cell and then copied across dozens of other rows. It is a very, very similar concept to following a knitting pattern. So I appreciate that when you first come across this idea, it is a bit difficult to understand, but I like to stick the radio on, have a cup of tea, and just click away. It's good fun. In contrast to knitting patterns, however, it is really quite simple to fix things, as you can see here. Most importantly, please don't forget to save your work on a frequent basis. Usually I use different file names so that if you somehow introduce a problem, you can always fall back to the previous version of your file. And this demonstration is putting together the basic reference dates that the planner summary status sheet pulls up. This sheet here, you enter the entire academic year, and then the conditional formatting is set to indicate automatically and on an ongoing basis what dates are in the past in grey, and where we are now, and the future, which is the light blue. And as I mentioned, I entered one date and then used a fill series to copy that cell formula and formatting into all the other cells there. It took a few seconds. And this is the summary sheet. There's a few formulas that have been copied and pasted into all the other cells, and all of the information displayed in this planner status sheet, which is the one that should be printed and put on the fridge, is drawing out the information or the data which has been entered into the other sheets. So, for example, you can see the science homework, and in column F are the links through to the pieces of work that my daughter created or didn't create. The status, again, that's conditional formatting. if something's due in a couple of weeks, then that's okay, that's fine. If it's due in the next 5 days, I think it turns orange. If it's due tomorrow or the day after, it's red. Again, because you're setting conditional formatting yourself, you can set your own criteria for how that is displayed. So that's a very brief run through what ePatterns are and how they relate to real life. Please, if you've got any questions, if you have any problems, if there's anything you'd like me to help you with in relation to spreadsheets, please contact me through my Facebook page or Twitter. If you want a new ePattern, I'd be quite happy to discuss that. And thank you for listening.